So as we go into the future, what is this going to mean for project managers? What is the future of project management and the skills that we're going to need to develop to be successful? And the first thing that's going to happen is increasing rate of change. We've seen this for the last 100 years. Change has been accelerating and it will continue to accelerate. And this is great news for project managers because every time you change something, it's a project. So project management is going to be increasingly in demand, not just as a discipline in itself, but for all managers to have to run some projects in parallel with their day job. So that's the first thing we're going to see. And this is great news, of course, particularly as the skills that you learn now will stand you in good stead for the whole rest of your career, because that basic format of planning and executing projects will always be there. It's just some of the constituents will be different. Now, one thing that's going to be different is the style of project management, because increasingly people are going to be working from home or even from their boat. So we're going to have diverse teams all over the world working remotely. So we're going to have to find ways to motivate and engage those remote teams. So in the planning phase, we need to work out how to involve them as much as possible remotely without them feeling that they've been neglected and just told what to do. And then during the execution stage, we have to find ways to monitor what they're doing while still giving them as much freedom as possible. So when you've got people working remotely, you want to give them as much freedom as possible, but you do still have to monitor a certain amount of what's going on. So remote working is going to become a key skill for project managers, probably above all other disciplines actually, because their teams will be spread out. And they're going to be increasingly spread out as everything gets more global. So we're going to have more global teams and they're going to be more diverse as well. So we're going to have people of all races, religions, ages, genders, everything working on our projects. So emotional intelligence is going to become increasingly important for project managers as they work with these diverse global teams. And then finally, there's AI. Don't know if you remember those. And so computers are obviously increasingly going to be running everything. But I think with project management, the main area that AI will affect is just the admin side. And that's great because that's the boring bit we don't want to do anyway. But I think the real skills that project managers are using right now will be fairly resistant to the rise of AI because there's so much judgment involved. Remember, you're doing a project that's never been done before, which makes it very difficult for AI. So you will still be involved in listing the tasks, estimating how long they're going to take, working out what depends on what. I just don't think a computer's going to be able to do that. And the judgment about who to give which job to. Do you give it to the person who's going to enjoy it or who's going to learn from it? The person who's going to do a high quality job but a bit slow, or a quick job where the quality is more questionable? So all these will still be down to the judgment of the project manager. So AI, I think, will take out the lower part of the job, but it will leave the interesting part of the job untouched.